There comes a moment in your life, silent, powerful, and unshakable, when you finally say, no more lies, no more gaslighting, no more shrinking yourself just to keep someone else comfortable. You break the cycle. You walk away. You take your power back. And when you do, something strange happens. They don't applaud. They don't wish you well. They don't disappear quietly.
No.
They panic. They plot. They perform. You see, when you were under their control, everything made sense to them. They got to pull the strings. They got to write the narrative. But the moment you stopped reacting, the moment you stopped needing their validation, that's the moment they lost their grip. And when control slips through their fingers, they don't just lose you, they lose themselves. You'll notice it. The way they start talking about you without saying your name. The sudden shift in how people around you treat you. The random texts, the fake apologies, the new relationship posted all over social media like a badge of victory. It's not love, it's not healing. It's strategy, it's survival. Because here's the truth, most people won't say out loud. When a narcissist loses control of you, they don't let go, they scramble, they unravel, they become obsessed with the one thing they can't stand to face. You, strong, silent, unbothered, thriving. So if you've ever wondered why the chaos doesn't stop after you leave, or why they suddenly seem to be everywhere you turn, even after you're gone, keep listening. Because what happens after you break free is just as important as how you got out. And the more you understand their moves, the stronger you stay. Let's break this down, piece by piece, powerfully, clearly, and without flinching. You didn't escape to stay afraid. You escaped to lead yourself fully, freely, and without apology. Now let's talk about what they do when they lose the one thing they never thought they'd lose. The moment you stop answering their calls, the moment you don't chase after them, don't beg, don't explain yourself, that's when it begins. Quietly at first. Subtle. But soon, it grows. People you used to speak to start acting strange. Whispers begin to circle. Looks become sharper, words feel loaded, and you don't even know why until it hits you. They've started talking about you. But not the real you. A version of you, one they created, curated, and strategically spread like wildfire. Why? Because they need to control something. And since they no longer control you, they try to control how others see you. This is the narcissist smear campaign. A desperate attempt to rewrite the story. Because the truth that you left, that you got stronger, that you stopped dancing to their manipulation, that truth is unacceptable to their ego. So they invent a new one, a version that makes them look like the hero, or worse, the victim. And you're now the villain of their tale. They'll say you were unstable, disloyal, selfish, cold. They'll say you changed, that you flipped, that you hurt them. They might even pretend to be worried about you, using pity as a weapon to make others concerned for your mental state. It's calculated. It's manipulative. And it's designed to isolate you. Because that's the goal, isolation. If they can't get you back, they'll try to make sure no one else supports you either. They'll infect your name, one conversation at a time. In workplaces, among mutual friends, even within your own family, anywhere they think they can gain an audience, they will spin their version of the story. Not because it's true, but because it gives them power. This isn't about facts. It's about control. And what's worse, sometimes people believe them. That's the part that stings. Because you thought your character would speak for itself, you thought your years of kindness, loyalty, or love would be enough. But some people don't care about truth. They care about comfort. They don't question the story they're given. If it fits neatly into what they want to believe. They don't ask for both sides. They just nod, absorb, and move on. And you're left wondering how people who claim to love you can turn so quickly. But here's what you need to remember. A smear campaign doesn't define you. It exposes them. It shows how far someone will go to maintain their illusion of superiority. It shows their inability to accept consequences or face reality. And most importantly, it shows just how much of their self-worth depended on owning you. So what do? You don't play the game? You don't stoop to their level. You don't chase down lies with explanations. Because that's exactly what they want. They want you to react, to get loud, to try to defend yourself. Because the moment you do, they twist that too. See? Look how emotional they are. Look how unhinged. It becomes more fuel for their fire. Instead, you rise quietly, consistently, authentically. You let your life speak. You let your peace confuse them. You let your growth, your silence, your refusal to engage be your loudest statement. You don't clean up every false version of you floating out there. You don't need to. The people who matter will see the truth over time. The ones who don't, let them go. They were never in your corner to begin with. And here's the most empowering part of it all. What the narcissist doesn't expect is that this experience sharpens you. You stop being naive. You start becoming emotionally aware. You learn not everyone clapping for you is in your corner. You become more discerning, more selective with your energy, your truth, your space. And when the smear campaign fails, and it will, they'll panic again. Because nothing is more frustrating to someone who thrives off control than realizing their words have no power where you've healed. So let them talk, let them twist, let them spin their web. You're no longer trapped in it. You're walking your own path now, unapologetically and with your head held high. Because your power is no longer up for negotiation. Your peace is no longer on the market, and your story is no longer being written by someone else's insecurity. When a narcissist loses control of you, the next mask they reach for is not the angry one, not the arrogant one, but the most dangerous one of all. The victim. They flip the script. Suddenly, the one who manipulated you, gaslit you, belittled your voice, and crossed every boundary now becomes the one who's hurt. Now they're wounded, betrayed, or abandoned, and they don't do it privately. No, they make sure there's an audience. It's a performance, a manipulation dressed as vulnerability. And it works because people love a victim. People want to believe in innocence, in pain, in rescue. So when the narcissist paints themselves as the one who was left, the one who tried their best, the one who gave so much but got used, they trigger automatic sympathy, and they know exactly how to deliver the lines. They'll cry if they have to, speak gently, appear emotionally broken, share stories that are just vague enough to seem real, but detailed enough to attack your credibility without ever saying your name. They'll say things like, I just don't know what happened. I gave everything, and suddenly they shut down on me. Or, I guess I wasn't enough. I always attract people who take advantage of me. It's subtle. It's calculated. It's strategic. It's the art of emotional warfare, disguised as confession. And what makes this tactic so sinister is that, on the surface, it looks harmless. They're not raging. They're not calling you out directly. They're not throwing tantrums. They're being honest. That's what makes it hard for people to see through it. It doesn't look like manipulation, but it is. Because behind the sorrow is one mission: to win the crowd. And winning the crowd means regaining a sense of control over you, over your mutual connections, and over the narrative itself. What you need to understand is this: they are not actually grieving the loss of you. They are grieving the loss of control over you. There's a difference. When people lose someone they genuinely love, they process that loss with humility, with quiet reflection, with respect. But when a narcissist loses someone they once controlled, they process that loss with strategy. They turn to damage control. They know they can't reach you anymore, so they start reaching others. They create an emotional ecosystem where they're seen as the good one, and you're the one who threw it all away. And here's what makes it sting. You'll often have to watch this act unfold in front of people who don't know the whole story. People who only see the outer layer. The tears, the sighs, the self-blame that's not really self-blame. And it hurts. It hurts to know that while you were trying to survive the chaos, they were rehearsing their lines for a crowd that's now clapping for them. But here's where your power comes in. You don't need to expose them. You don't need to run from person to person explaining your side. You don't need to engage in the game, because truth always outlasts performance. The applause fades, the mask slips, and over time, people will start to notice the inconsistencies, the pattern, The fact that somehow in every story, they're always the one who's wronged, but never the one who reflects, never the one who grows, never the one who admits real accountability. Real victims don't need to advertise their pain. They live it quietly, fully, and they heal. But narcissists don't want healing. They want attention, because attention feels like control. And when they've lost control of you, they try to compensate by controlling the sympathy of others. You have to stay grounded in your truth. You have to remember who you were in that relationship or situation, what you tolerated, what you tried, what you gave. You have to trust your memory, your strength, your reasons, because they'll try to rewrite history. And if you're not grounded, you'll start to question your own reality. That's their goal, to shake you, to make you second guess the steps you took toward freedom. But don't let their performance drag you back into a script you've already walked out of. Let them play the role. Let them cry the fake tears. Let them gather sympathy, because sympathy gained through lies is always short-lived. And people who are fooled today, they'll see the truth tomorrow. And even if they don't, that's okay, because you're not here to convince anyone. You're here to live, to heal, to grow, to protect your peace. You're not responsible for cleaning up the lies someone else tells about you. You're responsible for living so powerfully, so truthfully, so peacefully that their lies start to look ridiculous in comparison. So let them play the victim. You don't need to play anything at all. You've already won because you walked away from a game you were never supposed to stay in. That's your power. And no one, not even a narcissist, can take that away. Just when you start to breathe again, when the silence feels peaceful instead of heavy, when your mind isn't spinning in circles, when you begin to feel like you again, that's when it happens. Out of nowhere. A message, a call, a memory tagged in a photo, a just checking in, something seemingly harmless, maybe even sweet. You look at it and think, why now? After all the chaos, the gaslighting, the manipulation, why now? Because they're hoovering, trying to suck you back into their world, their web, their control. It's not about love. It's not about missing you. It's about one thing, access. See, when a narcissist realizes they've lost access to your emotions, your energy, your forgiveness, your presence, it triggers something deep inside them, panic. Not because they've lost a connection, but because they've lost control. And when that control slips, they will say anything, do anything, become anyone to get it back. It might start with guilt. I can't believe you gave up on us. You know, I've been struggling. After everything we went through, this is how you treat me. They try to make you the one who's wrong for walking away. They want you to doubt yourself, to feel shame, to question your strength. Or they'll reach for fake apologies. I know I wasn't perfect. I realize now how much I hurt you. I've changed. But if you listen closely, those apologies are hollow. They're vague. There's no real accountability, no mention of what exactly they did or how they're repairing the damage. Because they're not really sorry. They're just sorry they don't have control anymore. And then the most manipulative tactic of all, love bombing. They flood you with affection, attention, praise. Suddenly, they remember your favorite song. They send long messages about how special you are. They say things like, no one knows me like you. I can't stop thinking about you. They bring up old memories. They tell you they've changed, that they want another chance. But it's not real. It's bait. It's the same pattern, wrapped in a prettier package. Because if they can make you feel again, feel seen, feel loved, feel needed, they can reopen the door. And once that door is open, even a crack, they'll push their way back in. Not to love you, not to build something healthy, but to regain control. Because here's what they fear the most, that you will move on, that you'll heal, that you'll realize the relationship wasn't love, it was manipulation dressed as affection. And once you truly see that, they know you'll never come back. So the hoovering is frantic, desperate, strategic. It's not about you. It's about their ego. Their identity is tied to being the one in charge, the one who's desired, the one who can always pull you back. So when you don't respond, when you leave them on read, when you stay silent, that shakes their reality. That proves their power wasn't real. It was borrowed, and you're not lending it out anymore. But this is where it gets dangerous because hovering isn't always obvious. Sometimes it's subtle. Sometimes they act like nothing happened, like the chaos never occurred, like they didn't tear you apart and gaslight you every step of the way. They'll text you like a friend, laugh at old jokes, pretend like it was just a rough patch. That's psychological warfare. It's an attempt to make you question what happened, to make you think maybe it wasn't that bad, maybe they've changed, maybe you were too sensitive. But don't fall for it. Growth doesn't happen in silence. Transformation doesn't come with vague words and recycled gestures. If they had truly changed, they wouldn't just reach out, they'd take real ownership. They'd acknowledge without excuse the harm they caused. They'd respect your boundaries, even if it meant never speaking again. But that's not what narcissists do. They don't grow, they adapt, they shapeshift, not to heal, but to regain entry. And this is where your strength has to show up. Not in loud defiance, not in angry messages or dramatic closure, but in silence, in clarity, in not replying. You don't need to defend yourself. You don't owe them another round of your time, your attention, your softness. Your power is in your detachment. In remembering that you already saw the truth, and the truth was enough. You already lived the chaos and survived it. You already questioned yourself and came out stronger. You already left, and that decision wasn't a mistake, it was a rescue. So when they hover at the edges of your peace, trying to blow dust onto your progress, trying to dangle what could be, remind yourself of what was. Not to dwell, but to protect. Because a healed version of you isn't responsible for comforting the unhealed version of them. And if they really wanted to do better, they wouldn't start with, I miss you. They'd start with leaving you alone. You don't owe anyone a return to chaos just because they finally realized your absence is louder than your presence. Keep your peace, guard your growth, because nothing you left behind is worth more than the person you're becoming without them. You've done the work, you've broken free, you've started healing, rebuilding, remembering who you are outside of the chaos. And just when you're beginning to feel grounded in your own power, when you're making moves they never expected, becoming someone they never believed you could be, that's when they show up again, not to apologize, not to reconcile, but to mimic you. They begin copying your words, your habits, your ideas. Not because they admire you, but because they want to undermine you. This is the most covert and unsettling phase of the narcissist playbook. It's not loud like the smear campaign. It's not emotionally manipulative like the victim act. It's subtle, quiet, psychological. It's called mirroring, but not in a healthy, connecting way. This is mirroring with a motive, to blur the lines between who you are and who they pretend to be. Because if they can replicate your strength, your confidence, your values, maybe they can steal some of the power that they lost when you walked away. They watch closely. Suddenly they're talking like you, dressing like you, pursuing the same goals you once shared with them. They'll quote the same books, listen to the same music, even post things online that sound suspiciously like your voice. They don't become inspired, they become counterfeit. And this is where it gets dark. Because what they're doing isn't just about imitation, it's about control. If they can act like they've leveled up, just like you did, then maybe they can convince others that you weren't that special. Maybe they can convince you that your growth was no big deal, that what you've achieved wasn't rare. It was just copyable, that your evolution didn't come from pain and perseverance, but from something anyone could fake. It's their way of staying in competition with you even after the relationship is over. Because to them, everything is a game. And growth, healing, moving forward, those aren't personal milestones. They're power moves. And if you make a power move, they feel like they have to make one too. Not because they're inspired, but because their ego can't tolerate your independence. It threatens them. Your ability to thrive without them offends them. And instead of facing their own lack of development, they take the shortcut. They steal your shine. And if you're not careful, this tactic can start to mess with your mind. You might begin to doubt your uniqueness. You might ask yourself, was I ever that strong? Was I ever really different? You might feel like your identity is being hijacked, like you're watching a version of yourself being performed by someone who doesn't understand the cost of becoming you. That's exactly what they want, to distort your reality. to insert themselves into your new chapter without actually doing the inner work. But here's what you have to remember. They're not you. They may talk like you, move like you, present themselves like you, but there's no soul behind it, no truth, no integrity, because real strength can't be copied. Real healing can't be faked. You earned every step of your growth. You cried, questioned, broke, rebuilt. You did the messy, silent work that no one saw. You walked through fire to become someone who no longer needs chaos to feel alive. And they're just mirroring the surface because they're too afraid to go to the depths you went to. Let them copy, let them post, let them perform. None of it touches who you really are. Because the difference between imitation and authenticity is that imitation always requires an audience. Authenticity thrives, even in silence. And deep down they know this. They know they can't actually be you. That's why they're obsessed. That's why they watch you. That's why they're still trying to stay relevant in a life they no longer belong in. Because the truth is, you were never just a supply. You were never just someone to control. You were a mirror to them too. A mirror of what they lacked, of what they couldn't maintain, of everything they pretended to be. But you became the real thing. So don't let their copy shake your confidence. Don't let their mimicry confuse your truth. Stay focused, stay grounded, keep rising, because what they're trying to replicate is something they never helped you build and something they'll never have the discipline or courage to earn themselves. Your light doesn't dim just because someone else tries to reflect it. It keeps shining brighter, stronger, and more unshakable than ever. Let them try, let them perform, let them keep chasing shadows. You're too busy building the life they never believed you could. And that is your final, undeniable power. It always seems to happen fast. One day they're sending guilt-laced texts, throwing out fake apologies, or trying to hoover their way back into your life. And the next, they've moved on. Not slowly, not thoughtfully, instantly. Suddenly, there's someone new, someone in all their photos, someone being praised, adored, paraded. Social media becomes their stage, and this new relationship, their next act. To the outside world, it looks like they've found love again, that they're healed, that they're happy. But you know better. You've seen behind the curtain. You know this isn't love, it's strategy. This new person isn't their soulmate. They're a replacement, a prop, a distraction. They are what's called new supply. And for narcissists, supply is everything. It's not about intimacy or depth. It's about control, attention, admiration, and ego. They don't attach to people. They attach to how people make them feel. So when you took your power back, when you set boundaries and stopped feeding their need to be worshipped, they didn't reflect. They didn't heal. They didn't grow. They replaced. But here's the twist. While it looks like they've moved on, they haven't. Not really. Because even as they pour attention into this new relationship, they are still obsessing over you, watching you, studying you, measuring themselves against your silence. Because what they're trying to do isn't just find someone new. They're trying to win, to prove to themselves and to the world that they are still desirable, still in control, still the one with power. They post pictures to get your attention. They say things online that are meant for your eyes. They mimic things you used to do together. Same vacations, same captions, same inside jokes. It's not a coincidence, it's intentional. Because deep down they want you to feel something. Jealousy, regret, anger. Anything that proves they still have emotional access to you. Because if they can get a reaction, they can still feel powerful. That's the fuel they run on. And if they can't get your attention directly, they'll do it indirectly through mutual friends, through stories carefully crafted to circle back to you. They're doing so much better now. They're finally happy again. They want word to get back to you. They want you to hear about the new relationship. They want to control the narrative, even when you're no longer speaking. But here's the truth. This new supply isn't lucky. They're not in a healthy, thriving partnership. They're in the first stage of the same cycle you already escaped. The love bombing, the idealization, the constant attention that feels intoxicating until it turns into control, until the mask slips, until the same patterns you endured begin to show up in subtle, then not so subtle ways. The narcissist isn't building something new. They're recycling their behavior. And here's what's so important to understand. Obsessing over you while showcasing someone new is not a sign of healing. It's a sign of fixation, of unresolved ego wounds. Because you were never supposed to walk away. You were never supposed to wake up, grow stronger, or reclaim your life. That was not part of their plan. And now that you've done it, they don't know how to let it go. So instead of processing it like an adult, they jump into distraction mode. They rush into the next relationship, not out of love, but out of avoidance. Avoidance of shame, avoidance of reflection, avoidance of the painful truth that they lost someone who was willing to love them deeply, but not at the cost of themselves. So while they're busy pretending everything is perfect, you need to stay grounded in your reality. You need to remind yourself what it costs you to break free and why you can never go back. You may feel the sting of being replaced so quickly. That's human, but you were never really loved in the first place. You were used to prop up a broken ego, and now someone else is holding that weight. But here's the part that will set you free. They may try to imitate the relationship they had with you, but they can never replicate who you are. You are not interchangeable. You are not a template. What you brought into their life was real. Your love, your loyalty, your softness, your strength, that was never fake. And that's why they're still obsessed, because they know deep down they will never find someone exactly like you. That's not your burden. That's their consequence. You are not responsible for their healing. You are not responsible for who they date next. You are not responsible for proving your worth to someone who never valued it in the first place. Let them post. Let them pretend. Let them repeat their cycle with someone new. It has nothing to do with you anymore. What you do now, how you protect your peace, how you move forward, how you don't look back, that's what defines your power. Because true closure isn't about what they say or do. It's about you choosing yourself, choosing silence, choosing to build a life so full, so meaningful, so joyful that their obsession becomes irrelevant. You don't need to win. You already did. You walked away from the illusion and never looked back. That's a victory they'll never be able to understand, let alone imitate. So here's the truth. When a narcissist loses control of you, they don't let go, they escalate. They smear your name, manipulate sympathy, hoover you with sweet lies, mirror your greatness to cheapen your shine, and flaunt someone new while quietly obsessing over your silence. But through it all, there's one constant: they can't touch your decision to take your power back. You see, it's not just about walking away, it's about staying away. It's about not falling for the performance, the pity, the distractions. It's about rising above the noise and recognizing that your peace, your clarity, your truth is not negotiable anymore. They may try to rewrite the story, but they don't hold the pen. You do. You are not who they say you are. You are not defined by how quickly they replaced you. You are not broken because someone couldn't love you properly. You are powerful because you finally learned to love yourself more than their approval. Let them spiral. Let them mimic. Let them search for what they lost in someone else. That is no longer your concern. Your focus now is healing, growing, evolving without apology, without explanation, without going back, because the most powerful move you can make is not revenge, not proving a point, not making them regret losing you. The most powerful move you can make is never needing them again. Choose peace. Choose strength. Choose you every single time.